been involved in the cannabis industry for about 18 years. I've been lucky enough to be around cultivation and other types of cannabis companies. During that time, learning from a lot of really cool people how to and how not to do things. And that drew me to come back to school. So right now I'm at UVU doing research, and I'm still learning, but the things that I've learned I love to share with people, and I think they're very applicable to what we're doing today. I worked as a chef in a few different places. My wife Tiffany and I here owned a catering business for a while, doing cupcakes and sushi. We catered our own wedding like crazy people. No one else can do it right, you know. So all I've done is prep the food. I'm not going to do any real cooking today. All the cooking is going to be chemistry, and I'm going to talk about different kinds of infusion that's going to happen just with that chemistry, okay? So today I'm not doing any heat. I'm happy to talk about heat, induction infusion, or other types of infusion once we're done. So what I've got here is 3 types of chopped tomatoes on vine and heirloom. Forgive me, I was in a rush and didn't actually look at the varieties. I just went for good-looking tomatoes, you know. And then these are walla onions, and this is some fresh basil that we picked up locally. Pretty hard to find this time of year. Just got to finish chopping that real quick.
Yeah, so, it was difficult. We had to go to like 4 different places.
Thank you for doing that. So I love Italian food, and bruschetta is one of my favorite because I grow a lot of tomatoes every year, and I had to figure out what to do with them eventually, and so I started making ketchups and barbecue sauces. Bruschetta was something you could just eat every single day, and we grow lots of basil at my house too, as many varieties as we can cram in every year. I just love the terpenes that come from basil. In fact, some of them are exactly the same terpenes that come from specific varieties of cannabis. So, I'm actually happy to announce that I'll be starting a cannabis research project in the next 2 weeks, and I'll be able to collect data from Utah residents on the impact of their use to various medical conditions, and then what I'm trying to do is dispel the idea of recreational uses. In my opinion, there's very few people who recreationally use, and a lot of those people who are classified that way are actually just self-medicating, and I want to provide data to try to show that. So I'm really interested in the science of food, or molecular gastronomy. I think it's the coolest topic. So what I want to start with today is balsamic vinegar, one of my favorite ingredients, super delicious, extremely healthy for you. All of these ingredients, except for the basil, are purchased here. All of them can be purchased here. Could I get some monk fruit extract? I totally forgot. Okay. You sure?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. So the reason I'm starting with vinegar, well, I'll start by pouring it on some of my other ingredients, is because of its acidity. And what acidity does is the opposite of what fats do. Fats stick to things. Fats are sticky. They have lots of surface area and what are called covalent bonds. They have lots of connections that other things can latch to. They also have a charge that makes it easy for other particles to attach to them. Okay? So that's why fats can infuse easily. What acids do is they actually break those bonds. So when you're using an acid, you're actually dispersing things. You're breaking them apart into simpler ingredients, and that's why marinating works, for example, because really the acidity is changing the physical structure of what you're marinating. So that is what is happening now. And the really cool thing about this is that vinegar is actually very acidic. A little bit goes a long way, so don't overdo it with vinegar. People have different preferences for how much they use. I like a lot, so I've held back a little bit today. It grows on you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm also adding in garlic powder. I love garlic powder. I usually combine it with fresh garlic or pickled garlic. it up fast. You know? So I
Sure.
yeah, if you want to pass them out, that'd be great. So this is just some literature that I wanted to share with you guys. It is not my literature, to be clear. But
I didn't hear you, I'm
found
sorry.
it
One
to
sec.
be very educational. So, for example, on that first part, you should see, thank you so much, perfect. You should see a receptor picture that shows that the anandamine receptor, which is the indigenous endocannabinoid molecule that humans biosynthesize, the receptor for that is pretty much the same shape as THC, which is why THC can interact with you. That's also why THCA can interact with you. Okay, and the same thing goes for CBD, right? So CBDA, it has something extra, okay, an acetyl attached to it, and that A makes it so it's a shape that it can't interact with the receptor. Okay, and so when people are talking about decarboxylation, they're talking about removing that A, making it bioavailable to you as a human, because if not, and you consume it, it'll just go right through you. You can't metabolize it at all when it's in that structure, not in a way where it's bioactive. We're not allowed to use any, plant materials. So we're just using a product from the store, right? We're looking into the requirements for using live hemp material. But for now, we're just going to use this product. I went and read through each of them. This is infused to an MTC oil. The concentration on this product was the highest one I could find. I prefer higher because then you're diluting your food less. I like things that are more concentrated. So this is 1,125 milligrams of CBD for the entire bottle, which is 25 milligrams of CBD per serving. Okay, and one serving in this specific solution, and each of these things are actually really important when you're talking about dosage, because it's really easy to overdose food. Let's see. This defines a serving as 20 drops. Okay, so I'm going to actually multiply that by approximately how many servings we're going to do here, and that's how I'm going to dose the dishes today. So when people ask how much dosage should I use for different things, right, the answer is that you require special training as a medical doctor to determine that. And, different medical conditions require different dosages. Some of them do react badly with cannabis molecules, and so you really should seek your doctor's advice and don't listen to anybody else. If your doctor's not a fan, maybe find another doctor, but right, I need my oil. The only other person that's qualified to determine how you feel when ingesting something is you. Amen. Yeah. So I would say that an overdose would be defined as being dysfunctional. Not being able to perform as you normally do, or at least in a rehabilitated way, right? So, for example, I grew up with lots of friends that just lived their whole life on a couch and just ate bro and stuff a lot. And
Pretty much the stereotype.
yeah. And I think a lot of those guys, they do it socially, right? And it gets a little, maybe you're ingesting too much and you're a little physically depressed and aren't very active in your life. And for me, personally, that means overdose, right? All right, so this mixture is already marinating. I'm going to mix it with my hands because that's how I am. Just everything here, all the surfaces were sanitized prior, and all of the equipment. And I wash my hands very regularly. I'm very, very sanitary. It's important to me. And if you're ever preparing food for somebody else, you should definitely take that seriously.
Do you always recommend the CBD added last?
It totally depends on what you're cooking. So today I'm not doing any heat, and I'm actually about to add it. There's nothing that this amount of acidity is going to do to harm the CBD, right? And the longer it's there, the more it will infuse and disperse. So what we're actually doing is dispersing it with the acid so that it's spreading out, and then it's going to absorb into everything else that's in here. Does that make sense? So it's kind of the opposite of what you do with fat. Yeah, I like it a lot. What's our time at?
Anybody got the time?
What's that?
6:35?
Okay.
45. All right, 45. are
We
they?
have,
About
we have
halfway.
time. So, I'm gonna call this 8 servings. So I'm gonna lightly dose it. As you can see, I'm counting drops. That is the only way to do it right.
That's 50 milligrams? Now you're doing the drops, right? Because that's what's prescribed on the bottle.
So, this is full spectrum CBD oil, right? And full spectrum means that it actually has the other molecules. It's not just CBD, okay? It's actually pretty impossible to get it all by itself without special processes, right? That being said, it's better to have an entourage effect of the different molecules together, okay? The dosage I put in so far is 50 milligrams. So every 20 drops in this particular concentration is 25 milligrams, okay? So, let me see if it has a tincture size.
Probably a milliliter dropper.
Yeah,
And that's 45 milliliters, I think.
yeah, it's not saying the tincture. Oh yeah, okay, 1 milliliter.
Yeah, that's standard. It's either a 0.8 dropper or a 1 milliliter dropper.
I gotta-
It's typically
I
standard
gotta
in
count it.
droppers.
1, 2, 3,
What are you cooking, Daddy?
12. Yeah, it looks like it's multiple doses, so I'm just doing them one at a time.
Slightly a silly question, but I tend to use Google for measurements a lot.
Yeah,
So like if I were to just be like, hey Google, how many tablespoons is 20 droppers? Would that be equivalent to what you're doing?
no, because different droppers have different volumes on the drops,
Okay.
based on how big the hull is, and then the viscosity of the liquid, right? So different liquids will actually drop in different sizes as well. So they actually measure the tincture dispersal, or I can't remember the name of it, but they measure its width specific to the solution that's inside. So that's why I go off drops,
Okay.
because it's hard. You can mess it up really easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does that have a-
yeah, that's good to know.
Does that have a lot to do with taste?
So in here, the alkaloids, you really don't taste alkaloids as much as you would taste terpenes. Terpenes are flavor molecules, okay? And so, when you're talking about, like, are you talking about the bad taste? If you put it in your mouth and you just don't like how the flavor
Yeah,
is?
I guess
Is that what you mean?
probably on both, maybe.
Yeah. Some stuff you put in your mouth is a tincture, so it actually has alcohol in it. The raw oil itself doesn't have a very pleasant taste either. And so when you blend it with food, you're really making it hard to notice. I don't think anybody's going to notice this. If anything, you'll notice the flavor of cannabis, which is really great flavor, and it's actually going to complement this dish nicely.
I
Okay.
take some CBD underneath.
What's that?
I take some CBD under the tongue, with the peppermint. And
Yeah.
that-
Oh yeah, and I chose a non-flavored one, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the flavor ones myself.
Even the peppermint doesn't do its trick.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them downstairs were peppermint.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that dosing calculator page, it'll show measurements. So you'll see it's like 4 tablespoons and 30 milliliters. Like I think a tablespoon is like 15 milliliters or something like that. Could be wrong. What is it, Chef?
Sorry, what did you say?
The milliliter amount in a tablespoon? I think it's 15.
Oh man.
Does anybody want to look
I
at
don't
that
like
on the
American
site?
metrics,
If you go
like,
all the way to the bottom,
at school,
on
they just have us
site.
do, like normal metrics, not American. So I Google the conversions every time. Just 'cause it's so easy to mess up,
14.7 milliliters in a tablespoon.
yeah, so about 15, just about 15 milliliters. So when you're considering, some of these droppers are a milliliter. A tablespoon has more than what you'd ever find in a dropper. So if you're using an item that you no longer have your bottle, but you knew the potency initially, You just use your measurements to find out how much is in a drop again.
Sorry, I'm shuffling around with you guys.
Can we help you in any way, Chef?
I just need a big container. 'Cause I have to use this to make the whipped cream so everyone can see it.
Da-da-da-da.
We have a big container.
We'll find out.
Oh, well.
I can just wash that after, I suppose.
So the other thing is, if you're working with raw plant material, there are extra steps. They're easy to learn about on the internet. But one that a lot of people in infusion will talk about is decarboxylation. On those papers that were passed out, one of them has a chart of different alkaloids, and different alkaloids have different molecular density, different molecular weight, and they require different temperatures and different durations of those temperatures in order to decarboxylate them. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, go ahead. I'm about to start making the whipped cream.
I just want to ask about heat.
Guy,
Yeah.
Can I ask about heat?
What's that?
Can I ask about heat?
Heat? Yeah.
Because I was told that at least for like cannabis seeds, the heat can destroy the important properties in it, and that's
Yeah.
one of my questions. Like, am I allowed to roast and cook in the oven with oils? At what point should I be concerned that it's going to be damaging over to?
So I like to use, like stovetop thermometers of different kinds. With oils, it's really nice to use a candy thermometer, okay? Because it's actually very fine and thin, and will show minute measurements. Because you want to keep it within very specific temperature ranges. If you go over that temperature, the heat will break the electron covalent bond,
Yeah, that's what.
and it will disintegrate into simpler molecules that are not medicinal.
What temperature is that?
It's different for each alkaloid. And so that chart that I gave you guys, it actually has the minimum and maximum for each of the main medical alkaloids and the suggested temperatures. And that comes from scholarly literature, so to research experiments essentially. Okay, I'm going to get started on this. I need to find my mixer.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I think it's down here. Mostly I need to find the plates. Oh no, it's in, yeah. I have a garbage can, so I got a little pile over there. Yeah, this was clean last time. Thank you guys for your patience. A lot of food to prep.
We have a volunteer that wants to serve.
Oh, I'm sorry guys. Because of anybody handling the food will have to have a food handler's permit and be authorized by the store. We had to jump through hoops just to be here today. So,
And we're really grateful for the opportunities.
yeah, and it's important because you don't want to, it's real easy to get other people sick. So I'll get everything ready, and we'll just take a bunch of their bowls to serve it with.
Just on a
Okay.
communication standpoint, I think there'd be there'd be 3 times the number of people here when the message gets out. So there becomes a
Oh, yeah.
consistency to doing it here. That's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
spread. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people.
So I live down in Utah County, and I'm going to try to advertise for events all over the state, if possible.
We do it at once.
So we'll come back here, but we're going to spread it around too and try to involve other people like Derek here. So
Yeah, I'm going to talk cannabis education, and yeah, we've got a lot of education to do here at the state, so we're looking at getting a lot more events, and how do you say, I've been talking about it for 10 years in the state.
thank you, my friend.
It's nice, like I can talk about it now, not to a room, like, oh yeah, 6
excited for Tyler's food?
Me.
Oh,
Good stuff. So.
you guys don't ever eat Tyler's.
And clearly this
Are
isn't
you?
really young. This isn't something for just young people to go out there and party with no more. Nobody's looking at it like this. They lied to us, you know what I mean? We're eliminating the stigma that the life
Gonna get loud.
for 30 plus.
Whip it real good.
It's whipped cream.
We still have a person called Adam. And it's fascinating. So sophisticated. And so, the transformation that
Who would have thought Utah number 32? You know what I'm saying? I would not have a number 32. I was trying to get 31 or 30, but we got 32, and I was very excited. So what I knew was going to happen was the rest of the time he's looking at Utah like Utah. And I'm just like, wow, Utah. And now since I have them, he was looking at that.
Are you serious?
I'm the creative director of the dispensary down here.
Right. So I'm gonna tell you guys a little about the chemistry of fat. So with fats, like I said, they're sticky. You know, anything that touches them will stick to them, except for specifically shaped molecules like water. That's why oil and water push away from each other. It also has to do with their polarity. So the charge that they have. So what I've done, the reason I've actually just whipped the heavy cream all by itself, which is what I started with on this, by the way. The heavy cream, if you whip it first, you're creating a lot of surface area. You're also putting oxygen in. Oxygen is fantastic as a chemical initiant. So if you want to initiate a chemical reaction, some of them, they happen more readily if oxygen is available, okay? And so, I learned the hard way not to add the sugar in while you're mixing it because it will flake out and get you. My kids and I have been playing around with whipped cream recipes for a minute now and having lots of fun. So I'm doing about a 1 cup to 2 tablespoon ratio. So about 1 cup of heavy whipping cream to 1 tablespoon of monk fruit extract. And that's it so far. So you start by whipping the heavy whipping cream. You stop, you add in the sugar. You can use normal cane sugar, same exact ratio, by the way. Monk fruit extract is actually said to be even a little bit sweeter than normal sugar, so it's perfectly fine as a 1-to-1 substitute. So I'm going to whip this in, and then we'll proceed to the other ingredients.
It doesn't raise the diabetic sugar.
I would have to look into monk fruit a little bit more to tell you for sure if a diabetic could take it. That would definitely be a doctor kind of a question, because there's different kinds of diabetes and different kinds of sugars. So some diabetics can handle fructose, others can't, you know. So that's definitely a doctor question. What's that? It's real loud back here, just so you know.
There's like 3 different kinds of diabetes.
Yeah, so there's different kinds of diabetes, and then there's different kinds of sugars. And there's other variables that can play into that as well, like your metabolism. So that's why it's definitely something that you should ask your doctor if you have diabetes. I would never presume to, to suggest if you could or not, but definitely ask your doctor. Some people can, some people can't is the answer. What's that?
Stevia doesn't raise your blood sugar.
Oh, really? Cool.
I'm just wondering if what's bad.
Yeah. Hey, this is real time sensitive, so I gotta keep whipping it or it's gonna collapse on me, okay? Let's save some of the questions for the end. Cool.
And we call that whipping its peak.
Yeah, you wanna whip it?
To get to its peak.
Yeah, so tilt it on the side so it pulls like that, and then go in a circle, and then go the opposite way, but go slow. Like that.
Copy.
Okay. Now I'm just gonna get some of this together. Good. temperature, normally you would marinate bruschetta for 6 to 12 hours. A lot of recipes will say that to give time for the vinegar to seep in. These are really good tomatoes. So in my opinion, it's not really necessary because they're not as dense, they're not as watery, and they will actually kind of sponge things up, especially if you drain out the tomato juice. I'm going to drain these before we actually serve it so it won't be as liquidy. But if you leave it at room temperature, it will actually infuse a little faster. So the chemistry will happen faster at a higher temperature than it does at a low temperature. So if you're infusing in the fridge, it's going to take longer to properly infuse or to extract, right? This is kind of a pseudo infusion because it's so vinegary, so it's hard to call it a true infusion, but it uses infusion as a part of it. Yeah.
Does that help? Go around the corner?
Oh, you're doing so good, buddy.
That's great.
So, I wasn't allowed to use any food coloring, which normally I don't mind a little bit. So I'm smashing up raspberries, and it's gonna color the whipped cream. And I just use my hand like a guy, you know. Yeah. It's all water.
In there.
We'll test it in a second. If it moves at all, keep going.
My arm's starting to get numb.
That means it's almost done.
That's right, yeah, when your arm starts losing it.
Yeah, that's how you know it's almost done. That's your timer. Alright, here's the trick. We do the upside down test. If it doesn't fall, it's whipped cream. Woo!
That was fun.
Hey, good
Who
job,
wants a
man.
ladle?
Yeah. Oh, whoa. We're gonna need a minute more.
Okay,
and
don't
then
lick
we can
that yet.
share. Yeah, don't lick it yet. Okay. So I am of the opinion that after the whipping happens, that is when you should add flavor and CBD. Okay. There's the most open covalent bonds available at this moment. When I add things in, they will be partially occupied. Okay. So I'm going to start with the CBD now that it's in this state. And same as the other one.
We're doing 25 or 50?
So it's actually 2 20s per tincture. When I was eyeing it, you get 2 full ones out of each. So I'm going to put 2 full tinctures into this. Because this is approximately 8 servings. It doesn't fill up all the way, so I'm going to use just a tad more. And with CBD, I mean, the worst experience you could really have by consuming too much is feeling like physically tired. For most people. Some people should never have it.
Lethargy.
What's that?
Lethargy, like some subdued, less mobility, more.
So, yeah, fatigue.
Yeah.
Maybe way, lack of motivation, tiredness. To put it,
Weight
I guess.
gain.
Yeah, well, because when it doesn't have a high concentration of THC, it's it's not having that entourage synergy effect, and so really you're just getting the sedative, not the energy part of the effect for most people. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix this in. It's already whipped, so I don't need to go crazy on it. Now people, when they make edibles, a lot of people really worry about proper dosing, right? They want to make sure, oh, is the same amount of medicine in each bite? And the answer is no. And so you do your very best to try to make sure that the dosage is equivalent to a serving or 2 servings based on how much that person's going to eat, right? If you only need a 50 milligram CBD dosage, don't eat 8 servings of 25 milligram infused per serving CBD food, right? Okay, so that's done. Now I'm gonna add in. We're going real fruity, so I'm gonna skip the chocolate and we'll do orange blossom and Madagascar bourbon vanilla bean paste. Good stuff.
Wow.
For Freya's birthday here, we did rainbow whipped cream. It's really cool. If I can get it open. I think it pasted itself shut.
I might need some more water.
What's that? Oh yeah, I might need to melt it. It's at. And I'm kind of eyeing it on this flavoring. The other thing is when we're done, we're gonna taste it to make sure that it tastes good, so you can adjust it before you're complete, before you're finished. Thank you. All right, let me try it. There we go.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
He loosened it for me.
I love the vanilla bean taste. I don't think there's any better way to eat vanilla than that. Yeah, so good. You can't really have too much. Okay. And then lastly, I'm going to add in these raspberries. And that'll be our color. If you're using food coloring, you can add it in earlier. But the raspberries, they're more acidic and they can break things up. So. Oh man. So good. I like to use these little spatulas to get it off the edge. Plus, when you're in a circular bowl like this, the edge does get stuff stuck on it. I think it's better. Freya, you want to tell us how it tastes? You don't want to try it?
I do.
You
I
do?
but I don't.
Here, we'll use a fork because I just don't need a blender.
I
Thanks,
said.
We can just use a fork, it's so fluffy.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to hold on to your fork until we eat, alright? Okay, tell me how it tastes. Now go sit down. I have to wash my hands. Now that I
And it's just like vanilla, but not too strong, and it kind of tastes like blueberries.
Kind of tastes like bourbon. She knows what bourbon tastes like.
Blueberries, she said.
Kind of tastes like bourbon.
She's really good at remembering things.
You said that very nicely, by the way. Very well done, thank you.
You could be on a food show as a judge.
Yeah.
I'm going to try it just so I can adjust it.
How's it? Too sweet?
Needs more sugar.
Yeah, not sweet enough.
Yeah. Needs more. And that's why you check. Or else you serve a bunch of people food that doesn't taste right.
You also don't want to over whip it. It's really thick and buttery.
It's almost there, yeah. The sugar mixes in pretty easily, so I'm not too worried. And I'll just do that at the same time I do the raspberry. Okay, so actually, I'm sorry, that's bad cooking. I can't do that. I'll show you guys why. We're gonna fold it in.
Hold it. keep the air, right?
Yeah.
What?
Keeping the air by folding it.
Freya.
Well, it's this.
Oh, over here.
There's a, you can
Freya, please
blend
come
something
here.
in. No, it's yours. Hold on.
Freya.
You can blend something in, but if it mixes too finely, that's when you can have something. The word is split. So the fats and the acids will not be
Separate.
nice, and you'll end up with these lumps, and we don't want lumps. And so what we're trying to do, because that's kind of like how cottage cheese is made.
That's exactly
For
what I was thinking.
example,
Curds.
you get the curds, yeah. And so what I'm doing is folding it in, and that way, really, it's honestly just for color. So this is how I don't use food coloring to make whipped cream red. You just don't want to be too rough on it, but I'm gonna throw a bunch of fruit in it anyway, so not really too concerned. Okay, so that part's done.
I don't think we're concerned either.
Good. Okay, the last thing is just chuck your fruit in and mix it, and that's the third recipe. So, I kind of did number, 2 and 3 simultaneously. The whipped cream is for the fruit salad. And I think the selection of fruit is good. It's blueberries, raspberries, mangoes, 2 types of apples, the autumn glory kind, and then another one I can't read. The really good looking one's downstairs. With fruit, I kind of just go for what looks
Crisp
good.
pink.
There you go.
Crisp pink.
Yeah. So it kind of matches our whipped cream here. And once they said blueberries, there's little mandarins in it as well. Some mango, pear, and I usually do grapes, but I don't know if we have any grapes today. So this will hopefully be the healthiest and most medicinal fruit salad you've ever had.
Thank you.
No cane sugar. Right. What time are we at?
Good question. Where are we at, folks?
There it is. Oh, thank you. Okay, that's actually perfect timing to start serving. Thank you.
That's 10 minutes fast, I
It
guess.
is fast.
Oh, is it? Okay, I've been looking down this whole time.
Too small. Go ahead, better spoon.
My phone says 7:12, so yeah, that's about 5 minutes.
Okay. Just whatever. Containers. In fact, I can just use these cups and then they can.
Wash my hands. So that's
Yeah.
wooden spoon.
Okay. Here's some new ones. You'll help me serve. Yeah, we have fun. These are disposable, so I don't think they'll mind.
Sorry we didn't break out the expensive china.
Well, these are take home. They're nice. Okay. How many people do we have?
I think 15 if we're not counting
Yeah.
kids.
And the most important question is, does anybody have any allergies that I should know about?
I have a friend.
No? Okay. The bruschetta is vegan and gluten-free. The fruit salad is not vegan, but it is vegetarian. It is also gluten-free. The bread we have is gluten-free. We also have another non-gluten-free bread for
all you
crazy
glutes.
folk out there. Right. And then, actually, let's just set it right here, and then people can grab stuff when it's ready. If you want to count, and then I'll serve. Fantastic. Sorry. Walked in the kitchen before.
Yeah, when you're not cooking in your own kitchen, right, it's gonna find things.
I know how those guys on like TV shows feel now when they're in like a new kitchen and all of a sudden they suck at cooking.
not like where Ramsey's always mad.
Yeah. Oh, hey, buddy. Good to see you back there. How you doing? I need a slice of bread in a second.
Sure. Put his bread knife down.
Buy it, 15. And people can put on as much as they want. I'm gonna leave the oil and stuff in it because I think it's good. Soaks up in the bread.
Who's not ever had bruschetta before? Everybody's
Everyone's had bruschetta.
baptized in the bruschetta.
Good. This is technically a bruschetta tapenade because it's a mixture of tomatoes. I like to mix different varieties of the same fruit. We make weird dishes like this because I think you get better flavor.
You want this on a bias?
Huh?
You want it on a bias?
Yeah, like diagonal 45? Yeah, do that. Steal some from some other cups.
Air pocket.
If you guys are on social media, Facebook, follow them on Utah Cannabis Business. You could follow events at Utah Can, Utah Patients for Cannabis Choices, Utah Patients Coalitions, Utah Cannabis Education, Truths. There's many out there for you guys to stay active and be a part of and stuff like that. We have many events coming up in the next few months. So.
Comment under the videos that you guys are posting on.
Absolutely. This one, we have some live ones right now. This one's at Utah CBD, which is just exactly that, Utah CBD handle on Instagram.
And mine's kind of long. Mine's at Utah Patients for Cannabis and Natural Choices. To make sure we have everything in there, you know. Yes, UPCNC.
My business name is Green Dreams Come True. So I'm a cannabis consultant. I'm also a photographer and a chef. But mostly I teach people about how to cultivate cannabis and how to overcome the obstacles that they're having with that cultivation, pests, nutrients, things like that. And I try to teach people how to maximize their yields, you know, how to grow as much as possible with what we have here in Utah, how to set yourself up for success, and
Make your green dreams come true.
yeah. Okay, that is about as even as I can make 16 containers. Feel free, in an orderly fashion, to come grab some, and we're going to dish out this other one real quick.
There is some more bread if you care for it too, guys.
I honestly
Yeah,
wasn't
come on up,
expecting
don't be
much
shy.
from people.
Early birds. I know you're eager. Welcome.
I also do a Facebook page called Healthy and Delicious, and it's all about food that is both healthy and delicious. Some of them it's healthy or delicious, but
This one's just delicious.
yeah, some of them are just delicious, not healthy. Yeah, hey, you guys want to get a good like foodie shot? That would be so cool. I'm gonna dish out one of these. This looks good, right? Look at this great stuff.
I'm impressed.
It's usually a little more colorful.
You gotta,
Maybe put it side by side.
show the camera a little bit.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Nervous smile.
Oh, that was a good one.
Was it a good one? You sent it to me? My name's Tyler Hacking. I'm on Facebook. You guys, I post lots of events like this around the state, so
Yeah,
I'd love to have you guys.
He's completely tagged up throughout this event. If you guys go back to that event.
Grab some bruschetta girls. Yeah, if you just sit down and don't want to wait anymore. Enjoy. You miss anybody?
Lady.
Yeah, and there's more bread if you guys want more bread. Might need it. Sit down. Daddy's cooking.
Pink underwear all cribbed out. No, that's Bloods.
I'll get get you water in 1 second.
Crips and Blues. I did what I could.
It would be blue undies.
I did what I could.
Crips pink. Yeah. That was clever. I love
You
it.
share that one with me, is that okay? That sounds perfect.
Alright, guys. That was Tyler. That was just the first mini. Stay tuned.
Much more to come.
Well. Say what's up, man. The first mini. Come on. Say your goodbyes. Give us.
Oh yeah, I think everybody took the food that I was hoping to get. If it's all gone. I wish I had some.
I didn't even open the gluten-containing bread, but if anybody wants feel free.
Yeah, this is like cheesy
We're supposed to-
jalapeno cheddar bread.
We can't let it touch any of the other stuff.
Not the gluten.
Nah.
Gluten-free things.
To
Yeah.
them, it's a contaminant. Some people have a gluten allergy, not just an intolerance.
Run away. Okay. So I'm gonna log off, guys. Thank you guys for turning in, and we'll be back.